And now, Podtendo presents Sidequest Cinema.
We all got a choice, son. Mine got taken. But that will never happen again. Become the animal and you will have your revenge. I'm coming for you. No law. No code of conduct. You honor the animal. We got it. X-Men Origins Wolverine. Rated PG-13.
Hey guys, welcome to Podtendo podcast Sidequest Cinema. When we looked at the landscape at one point, we're like, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a million movie podcasts on the internet. Let's be 1,000,001. And that's why our retro video game podcast sometimes looks at movies. We're that sadistic. I'm Mick, and I'm joined every episode by
Tyson.
Cool. And today we are continuing our journey through the X-Men movies. We kind of hit the big trilogy early on in the year, and now we're into whatever this is. It's X-Men 4, Wolverine Origins Wolverine, or X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah. Well, instead of trying to focus on a big cast, maybe we just focus on a small cast.
One character? Yeah, smart. Okay.
Focus on a single story, and everybody likes Wolverine, so this can't fail. Can it?
Origin movies seem like they'd work. I bet you if we showed an origin movie of all of our popular characters, the collaborative films would be better. You're so close, Hollywood. We can, you can almost sniff the good idea. This isn't one of them.
No. Almost like I had the order reversed, because when you do the big movies first and then you try to build in story afterwards, it almost kind of falls on its face because you have to replace actors.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you end up trying to use characters that probably shouldn't have been used in 2 movies and mentioned in 3 now, or yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, it's funny. It's funny that there was this clear example of here's a great franchise that people love and adore, and they kind of butcherized it. And imagine if DC did the same thing. No, it's fine. We'll release Aquaman after Justice League, because then everyone knows who Aquaman is.
Because that makes sense.
Oh,
you use $1 billion to advertise for $450 million. That's how you do it.
Good job.
That's spending money, right?
Na. Anyways, on to this bad boy. Today we're looking at the controversial, it was a thing, X-Men Origins Wolverine, released May 1st, 2009. The runtime of this was 107 minutes. The budget was $150 million, and it saw a box office return of $373 million. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Better than Waterworld, right? So that's pretty good. It was directed by Gavin Hood, produced by Laura Schuler Donner, Ralph Winter, Hugh Jackman, and John Palmero. The cast included Hugh Jackman, Liev Schreiber, Danny Houston, Dominic Monaghan, and Ryan Reynolds. And Taylor Hitch. How could I forget about Taylor Kitsch? True Detective Season 2 forgot about him. So I guess I also forgot about him.
I think everyone just forgot about him, because what have you done lately?
He had all that John Carter money. He didn't have to work anymore.
No, you know what? When a big hit like that comes along, you can just retire.
He's like, this is the single biggest property Disney will ever make. So, cool.
John Carter.
Development details of this fun movie. David Benoff pursued the project for almost 3 years before he was hired to write a script in October 2004. Preparing to write, he reread Barry Windsor Smith's Weapon X story, as well as Chris Claremont and Frank Miller's 1982 limited series on the character, his favorite storyline. Also serving as for inspiration was the 2001 limited series Origin, which reveals Wolverine's life before Weapon X. Jackman collaborated on the script, which he wanted to be more of a character piece compared to the previous X-Men films. He had aimed for a darker and a bit more brutal story, writing it with an R rating in mind, although he acknowledged the film's final tone would rest with the producers and director. Deadpool had been in had been developed for his own film by Ryan Reynolds and David S. Goyer at New Line Cinema in 2003, but the project fell apart as they focused on Blade Trinity and an aborted spin-off. Filming took place in Fox Studios Australia. There were some issues with storing explosives in a local ice rink due to Australian law, where these were okay, so they needed some explosions, some explosives. They had to store them at a local ice rink in Australia, and those explosives were when they blew up the farm. And this required 13 cameras. Neat.
Yep. Yeah. I apparently no go on storing explosives.
I guess
in a local ice rink.
No, I think that was the only place they could store them due to the law. They're like, we don't even play hockey. I don't know why we have ice rinks. Like, store them there. If it blows up, who cares?
It's like nobody's been in there in decades.
That's why did you build them? Don't ask. According to Hood, the screenplay was still incomplete as filming began, with the production in Australia receiving regularly new scripted pages from Los Angeles, at times in the nights before shooting. Hey, you know how a good sign they have a good movie? You're getting faxed new script pages every day.
Yep, that's when you know you should definitely be proceeding with shooting of a film.
That's like, I could just tell you this movie sucked. Just by reading that, I'm like, oh, this probably movie wasn't very good. I don't know.
Oh, yes. As soon as that happens, you're like, okay, just why?
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Time and time again, I'm just like, big red X, bad. Gavin Hood, the director, spent the whole movie in a fight with the studios in regard to the tone of the movie and how Wolverine was allowed to be portrayed. Often when I argue that directors don't really have control of their projects on big, you know what I mean? Because like they're a guy. They're an employee. It's ultimately some weird corporate entity that usually controls these things. I'm glad Gavin Hood was like, I think this is gonna suck the way you want it. And they're like, no. We want to sell toys, so make sure it's funny. Great.
Yeah. And I'm one of the people who always throws the director's name as attached. Was like, you're the worst. But I know it's not always the case. And yeah, it's kind of nice to know that, to hear these stories where, like, unfortunately the director was fighting with the studio and didn't really get the tone that he wanted. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it just comes down to where the paychecks are coming from. They get final say, and it's a job afterwards, unfortunately.
That's it. And I just don't think we'd ever, like, a dark, bloody portrayal of Wolverine would ever work on the big screen, right? So I think the studio was probably right, as they usually are.
Oh, yes. Never disagree with the studio.
Never disagree. There are multiple secret endings. One, Wolverine is drinking a beer in a Japanese bar. The bartender asks if he is drinking to forget, to which Logan replies, he is drinking to remember. Oh, okay. Wonder where he's going. The other ending shows Weapon 11 on the rubble of the destroyed tower, trying to touch his severed head.
Yes.
Okay. Because the Deadpool's not dead.
Nope. Can't. He's not dead. Nothing essentially progressed in this movie besides a few people dying. That's it.
Okay, great. And then there were more than 1,000 shots that used visual effects. This required 3 effect supervisors and 17 different companies to work on this film. Is that why the visual effects are a little uneven? Yes.
You know, I was going to say the visual effects were so seamless. Seamless. You know, it's didn't look janky as fuck.
Wow, look at these claws on my hands. They're the stupid scene.
And my favorite is when, like, in that scene, I swear, like, the reflection of the actual, like, his blades are like 15 times bigger than they usually are.
Oh, yeah.
In like half of the other film, and you're like, this is garbage. Like, just get your models right, for Pete's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, as we're referring to, when he first gets his adamantium skeleton in this movie, he has a scene where he, like, looks at them in a mirror. It's not good. It looks kind of like, I think actually Who Framed Roger Rabbit has better graphics than it.
Yeah,
like his toon gun that he uses, like, looks better than his claws. So
yeah, and his claws, like, they look cartoonish. Like the shading is terrible, and there's like sparks when he touches them together for whatever reason. Yeah.
All right. Well, good job. Good job, this movie. So that's it. Let's look at Podtendo's terrible plot summary and go from there. So we meet Wolverine in the Northwest Territories in 1845. He kills his paw and fights in every major war up until 1973, which is Vietnam. There, he and Sabretooth are recruited to a secret strike force that gets adamantium, and Logan quits. Years later, he's living in the Rockies, has a wife, until she gets got by Sabretooth, and they battle. He loses, is recruited to get adamantium bones, gets them, leaves, and meets an old couple. They get got. Logan blows up a helicopter before meeting with Will.i.am, and eventually meeting Gambit. James Howlett fights Sabretooth and Gambit, invades a secret base, and we get some other mutant cameos, and a fight with Deadpool, and him get shot in the head, and him lose memory, and the end.
Yep. Because you know what? You love it when they fill in the gaps, but they do it into a sense where it loses all interest. Love that.
Yeah. I kind of also, I feel like I gave up as much as the writers. Did I call them? I did call them. Okay, so I called them Wolverine, Logan, and James Howlett. That's funny. Good job. That's okay.
Yep. Well done.
All right.
Too fair. Well done.
All right. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So that is the plot of that movie. Don't watch it. I would recommend the first three. Yeah, that's fine. This one, if you haven't seen it before, you can skip it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's... Yeah, and I think the biggest thing wrong with this movie is it's boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really boring. Like, having Sabretooth as the big bad doesn't have the weight that it needs. And this movie is pretty lackluster.
I think it kind of does work that he's like this evil force going around killing everybody for some reason. But it just like, I just think the movie's not done well. Like, I don't know if that, like, I don't know if I'd say Sabretooth is, I don't know, maybe it's just not a good movie. I can't tell you why specifically. It's kind of just a cluster of bad ideas.
Yeah. And half ideas.
Well, and like he starts out as Wolverine and there's no character development, right?
Yeah.
I think that's
I think it would have been more interesting had, instead of doing like this 120-year flash forward, show us more of that, because that would be interesting. Show us how Wolverine and Sabretooth both act differently in all these instances, and you could show maybe instances of like Wolverine going to a blood rage because they lose he loses his troops, and Sabretooth is like, oh, finally coming around to my side of things. Like, it could, you have, and I think Liev Schreiber does a really good job. Same with Hugh Jackman. I think that there could be a really unique dynamic here, but they kind of just fall off as like boring and just growling at each other. And you're like, there's so much more to these guys than just growling and snarling. It's like, but that's more visual. And I think that instead of, they just kind of, there's some clunky, I think you could just cut out the whole Gambit stuff.
Everything. Like, you're right. Like, Liev Schreiber, Hugh Jackman, awesome, great, cool. But just having like, oh look, Deadpool's here, and then doing this weird bastardized where he's kind of like, he's not wearing his suit and he's like mouth is stitched and he's got these weird sword claws. I'm like, what are you guys doing? What the fuck is this? Yeah. Like, that's the problem with this movie, is they just took an existing property and they're like, just throw some stuff together, it's fine. Include 3 Mile Island. People will like that. Sure. Why not?
And like, they join part of this special task force, and it's like, I don't even know their bloody names, but Will.i.am can teleport, Agent 23 or 16 or what the heck his name is.
That's Agent Zero, also known as Maverick from the comics. He was part of the Weapon X program. Come on.
Wow, that's not who I thought. Why did they call him Maverick? Just call him Maverick. That's how I know him. But maybe that's my stupidity.
At least I think it is.
I would have never guessed that was Maverick. I thought that was somebody completely different.
Wolverine. I think Agent Zero is actually supposed to be David Agent Zero. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I just made that up. Maybe he's not.
No, because it's got John Wraith, who's Will.i.am, and he can teleport.
Okay.
And it's got like Fred Dukes, who is like, okay, we got the Blob in there.
David Nord.
You got like Chris Bradley, who can manipulate electricity and electronic objects.
Okay, maybe it's different then. I just assumed he was supposed to be like the Maverick character.
No, you're right. He's originally known as Maverick.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there you go, Christopher North or David North. Yeah, there you go, Maverick.
yeah, well, yeah, that's the Maverick I would know, but they just didn't give him a big goofy outfit.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have watched the animated series, and that would have helped.
That would have solved things. There you go. So, storytelling. So the introduction is from 1845 to 1990 or 1982. An inciting incident is Silver Fox dying. Rising action is getting the metal bones and getting to 3 Mile Island. The climax is a fight with Deadpool, and the conclusion is getting his memories erased. Wow. Film's major overarching stories and themes. Nature versus nurture, brotherhood, war. What is it good for? Love, betrayal, mutants as a weapon, and weaponizing the enemy.
Yeah, and I guess terror, because that's what all Sabretooth does, just walk around and terrorize everybody.
Oh, terrorize. I thought you were saying terror as in like all Sabretooth does is walk around and terror stuff. No.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
no.
I was trying to add some humor into this dead, lifeless podcast as we talk about this miserable show. Trying to bring joy to my life. Review of this fun. What's your favorite part? We have to start somewhere positive. Start at our first category here. Favorite part of this movie. Tyson, what is your favorite part of X-Men Origins Wolverine?
The opening credits, like where they're running through all the wars. That's fantastic. Like I said, I want a whole movie based with more of that lens. Like, that would be incredible. And I think that it would be, there's so much at play there where you could literally show how these guys have gone from war to war, and Sabretooth goes more into the like enjoying it, and Wolverine becomes more of like, I'm only doing it because this is all I'm good for kind of thing. And I think that like there's so much there, and they just blip through it, but watching it, it's really well done. It gives me just like ideas of what could be. So if there was a sizzle reel, like that was a sizzle reel for a movie, I'm like, I'm all in.
Hey brother, I feel you. That's the same thing I got there. So the intro, seeing Wolverine and Sabretooth in wars, there's so much there. There's so much story. There's so much drama. There's so much intrigue you could have, and just these like little side adventures through each major war, right? I mean, it cost a lot, because then you're setting up these like sets to look like trenches from World War II, right? And going to Vietnam and being in jungles and stuff. But like, I think you could have some fun through lines, see some character development. That'd be cool. I also think that, as I agree with you, I think we're also maybe the cause of this movie, right? So just as children, we had this like negative discourse around Last Stand. And I think that led the studios to lean into this like light, soft comic book story, right? The movie kind of looks like a comic book. It has very colorful backdrops. There's just random nonsensical cameos for no reason, because they're like, oh, guys want more X-Men. Pump out the X-Men. We need Blob for some reason. We need him. We need Blob for no reason, right? So I kind of feel like I don't know if we were ready for what they were doing, but I kind of also feel like we're the reason that this movie exists and sucks, and it's a shame. It's too bad.
Yep. Well, hindsight's a hell of a tool, but wish we could go back and talk more with our money and kind of prop up that movie more. But
it's Fox. That's how Fox runs things. Look at The Simpsons. Simpsons was phenomenal, top-notch entertainment for 8 years, and then it went through a 20-year with like just they're like, Simpsons was terrible for 2 decades, right? It's had a bit of a comeback in the last couple seasons. You're like, oh, The Simpsons is like good again, awesome, great. But they just let this property just run on steam for 20 years without giving it any pushes, any momentum, and they're just like, it makes money, who cares?
Yep, and I guess it's just sometimes easier to just try to look at the numbers and just play a numbers game when us
Star
fans
Wars.
look at it as art.
Think of it like Star Wars. Everything Fox owns basically kind of did the same. Whatever, it's fine. Just pump it out. It's just make money.
Yep.
If only they cared.
Well,
if they cared.
yes,
Right.
Unfortunately.
Okay, cool. So, most notable scene or part of this movie. So this is, you haven't seen the movie for a while, maybe only seen it once, maybe only remember a poster, What stands out? Could it be Wolverine's bone claws, fighting through time, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, Wolverine versus Sabretooth Part 1 when they fight on the log truck, Wolverine getting his claws, ripped Hugh Jackman, the old couple, bad CGI claws, the helicopter fight, Gambit, the Deadpool fight, Cyclops? So what do you think your most notable scene of this movie is?
I think it's the injection scene. Like the Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool's really well done.
Well,
I mean, essentially that kick-started the he needs to get his own Deadpool movie, and let's please not touch it. But I think him getting injected with Weapon X, like him busting, I must have seen. It feels like that scene's in every X-Men movie, but it's not. So I mean, I guess I've just had that. But that imagery just seems to just resonate for whatever reason. I think it's maybe also because like I had the toy of Wolverine getting injected with adamantium and has all the stripes and all that, like all the bandages and all himself all over him as a kid. So that one was always like, oh, this is the cool ones.
Yeah. And he had like the cool helmet on his head and stuff like that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, myself, I also am going to probably lean towards the him getting injected because it's just the imagery, that set's very well designed. Hugh Jackman again gets incredible shape. Like when he comes out of the water, you're like, "Whoo, somebody's been lifting weights. Good for you, buddy." Right. So that's but in my mind, that also then it ties into like looking at the bad CGI claws as like a downside of this movie.
Yeah. And that's why it's like some scenes.
I guess that's why you couldn't have told a war story about brothers, is because you had to get to this point, right?
Yeah, and I think that maybe we'll get into that when like what would we change or whatever, but yeah, I think you can do this almost in 2 movies.
I think I like the best way of doing this was it should have been that they're fighting in time, they get recruited to this secret mission. They have to do some missions, and then at some point, like, you see he has a relationship with everyone, and the Weapon X program then, like, warps his mind or something, right? Like, he's become so animalistic that maybe he kills Silver Fox in a rage, as he leaves the facility, and that's where you end the movie, right? He's, like, broken and twisted from all the pain that he's just endured, and, like, he kind of, like, destroys he, like, runs away. I don't know. Maybe there was no right way of doing this. I don't know if the right way of doing this was a Deadpool fight at 3 Mile Island, but...
No, I think you almost need to leave the climax of him transforming and just going berserk through the thing till the end.
That's what I mean. And have bloody hallways and have him covered in blood, and then maybe have that realization of like, who am I? What am I? And him running away into the wild, and that's like the end of your movie, and you'd be like, fuck, that's dark. Cool.
Yeah. Or maybe you could do it as like, so Silver Fox, have Maverick in it, and have Sabretooth, and have like the opening.
Whoa. Have Maverick. His name is Agent Zero, and he's already in this movie. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyways. But
don't just because you liked him as a child also be like, oh no, I like this character. No, you hate Agent Zero.
I do hate Agent Zero, but I mean, he's already a character in the movie. I'm trying not to move pieces. So
no, but I already see in your thing. You're drawing sketches. He's got a yellow suit. He's got a cool gun. He's got a red visor. Don't even start.
Actually, I wasn't even drawing anyone to have any outfits besides Wolverine. I was like, at the end, he should keep the helmet on. He should have a helmet and should keep it on and have like red eyes and going berserk. And at the very end, like he would stab Silver Fox on his way out, and that's what snaps him out of the berserk rage. And he like takes off the helmet, realizes what he done, and just hoofs it.
Yeah, that's what I said.
That's how it ends. And you could have like Sabretooth just like going and starting to track him, and just like have like Wolverine like footprints into the snow, and just have Sabretooth just like walking after him, just like, oh, I'm gonna find you, don't worry, brother.
What?
And just like, but like have the whole movie leading up to like the first act, maybe like up until the second. I almost just have them just doing flashbacks in like battle.
When was the last time? Isn't one of the new X-Men movies? I feel like the X-Men, like the first class kids, meet Wolverine in one of them. Is it like?
Yeah.
Is it Apocalypse?
I think it's first class. It's first class.
No, he just tells them to fuck off.
Yeah.
No,
that's
but
what I was
no.
referring
There's
to.
one where they go to the base and there is a bunch of blood everywhere, and Wolverine does come up to him with the mask on, and then he runs out into the woods.
Does he?
That's a scene that's coming up. I think that's like that might be an Apocalypse or something.
Is that an after credit scene?
No, it's like during the movie. They Chiron go to this facility and like they see all the bloodshed.
Well, I'm just saying they should.
You know what I mean? But because they have that scene
that should have been in this movie. That should have been. Yeah.
And I agree. And that's like the ending, and like you're like, oh cool. And then you just have like he kills Silver Fox, and as he goes to run out, all of a sudden like Sophie Turner comes in, and you're like, oh, they changed the time stream a bit. Neat. Okay, cool. And he runs off or something, and you're like, huh, interesting. But no. We don't want continuity. We don't want things making sense. This is a Fox property. Sell toys. Who cares?
Yeah. Here's the characters. Fit in Gambit.
Oh.
We need at least 20 minutes of Gambit.
Because kids love Gambit.
And 10 more minutes of Blob.
Oof, boy. All right. So what's our least favorite part of this movie? So let's see. So how underwhelming the adamantium fusion is. Legend tells of a dark, visual, gory comic, a book of the same tale. All we get here is him getting out of the water, and then, like, literally in my mind, is he just jumps off a waterfall.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, you could have done more here. You probably should have done more here. And we were just bitching about. That's my least. What's your least favorite part of this movie?
I think it's anything to do with Gambit. Why is he here? He doesn't need to be here. I get that it was kind of like, oh, well, we want to place him in here so we can do a spin-off movie next.
Mon cher, no one likes Gambit. I guess he just doesn't fit in here.
Yeah, well, it's like you can do here. How about instead of Cyclops being rescued at the end, you have Gambit help get everybody out? Something like that.
Sure, I don't know. Yeah,
because at least like it would like.
I agree with you. Any character that wasn't like Sabretooth, Wolverine, you don't need it. Like literally all their inclusion. I'm like, why is Cyclops here? Come on.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I don't know. Stupid. Criticism. So let's put another negative on this stupid movie. So you could tell there was a massive discrepancy between the director and the studio, and it shows on the screen, right? This is a very commercial project. I recall buying toys when this movie came out, and I had an Iceman, like an Iceman, like he's in ice form, a Cyclops that looked kind of like the 93 X-Men Cyclops, and a Wolverine who had like the yellow tights with the blue cowl. They were cool toys, but like, why are they from this movie? I feel like literally they're just like, let's just sell merchandise. Yeah, throw Iceman, cool, that's great. And like, we need Cyclops because we have a Cyclops toy. And it's almost like they made toys and then they sent them but to mail to the director and like, hey, put these guys in your movie. We want to sell these. And it's petty. I hate it. I hate that they've done this, but it's Fox, right? Star Wars. The prequels of Star Wars in this kind of fall into the same category, right? Where they're just like, no, it makes money, who cares? Fuck it. And it's the same thing we've been now bitching about this whole podcast, right? So it's a shame that this project wasn't treated with a little bit more respect and love, right? And was just pumped out for money.
Yeah. Well, I think it shows that they were almost paying attention in the wrong areas where they're trying to think of probably how to sell these toys that they already kind of had probably molds for. Because if you look at these toys, they look like they're ripped from the X-Men animated series or the animated series. So you're right. Like, why the hell did they even? Why are they X-Men over like Origins Wolverine toys when these aren't the outfits that they're wearing? Like Colossus isn't in this. Like this is silly.
So I'm clicking on the Wikipedia page for this. There's a 2-pack of toys. You could have black leather Wolverine with a beast in black leather, as well as a Cyclops and a Colossus.
Yeah, and it's like, why is Colossus here?
And like these 6,
and it's like from like X-Men Last Stand Colossus, and but there's also like single packs, and there's an Agent Zero. But he's called Maverick, and he's in his like animated series. There's Deadpool, he's in his red outfit. Yep. There's Wolverine, he's in his yellow outfit. There's Colossus, and he's there, and there's even like a Blob and Sabretooth. But it's the animated series models. It's not the actors. It's not anything. Like, why is this? Again, they know what people want, but they were almost just refusing to give people it because they didn't want to make that movie. They want to make their own shitty movie.
Oh,
And
they even
they're
have like a Gambit that has like a trench coat.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So stupid.
And like,
but that is funny. That is funny.
And
that
Cyclops is like adult Cyclops.
Yeah,
who's like.
Well, yeah, like I had that toy. He's just Cyclops from the X-Men, right? Like that's probably actually I think that's the outfit he wears in like Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah,
right.
But I guess there's also there's Deadpool, like comic Deadpool, but then there's like the movie Deadpool version. I guess they had a comic series.
Oh, they did have one, yeah, because it's like Blob and a Sabretooth, but they're both from the comic.
Yeah.
What a mess.
So I guess there must have been a movie and a comic series, but they were using just the movie like labeling, and this is like, again, they put more effort into the comics than they actually did the movie and how it should just work. They were just trying to fit random characters into it to build the world. They threw Gambit in here just for shits and giggles. They threw Deadpool in here for shits and giggles. Blob, because why not? He's in the animated series. Oh, goodness.
That's how Fox does it. What toy series, what inappropriate movie did we have a bunch of toys of as children that were pushed down our throats?
Spawn.
I'm thinking Alien. Think of how many Alien toys we had. Remember Corporal Hicks and all the cool Marine toys and stuff that used to be out there?
And they even came with a comic, but the comic was like PG.
What the... Has Fox always done this? Terminator, same thing. Holy balls.
And then people were like, man, you guys really market your stuff to children. Like, no, we don't. Like, no, but you actually do.
Wow.
Like, you take like some Terminator, our franchise, and like, let's make kids want to buy these toys.
People know this, right? Like, we're not like uncovering.
Yeah, we're not. This is nothing new.
Okay.
We're just kind of coming to the realization out loud.
All right, that together. Like Fox is just this like marketing. That's why Simpsons sold, made money. Who cares?
Yep. So I don't know. Yeah. What's the final praise on this?
Jackman obviously loved this character. He showed in his commitment to the character for over a decade. He does a good job. It's just a bad movie with a great performance in it, right? There's like bits and pieces. You're like, oh, that's an interesting. Okay, cool. And then it's like 15 minutes of just fucking bullshit. And I'm like, oh, neat. It's a shame that this happened, but there is no but. It's just a shame that happened, right? I'm glad that we got through the first 3 X-Men movies kind of unscathed for the most part. Like, they are actual films before they started just making their big commercials. Yep. But I don't know. Jackman got in really good shape. Yeah, good for him.
I think that this was the cementing of his role as the lead of this franchise. He's going to be the hero. He's going to be the main guy that's almost in every movie.
You don't think that was like
future.
That was like by the second one they had done that, or the first one?
No, but I mean, this is his first like solo. Like, he's going to start carrying this franchise because he gets 3 solo movies.
Well, so I don't know.
So Origins,
yeah,
like X-Men Origins, Wolverine, then Logan.
Yeah,
he gets 3 solo movies. Nobody else gets 3 solo movies.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know. It's just like, yes, but you're right. He was the star from get go.
I mean,
but it's just like,
I was pushing for Will.i.am to have his own 3 movies, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like, he's the guy that came back. He's the one that they're going to base this off of after the end of that trilogy. And because I kind of look at the trilogy as, he's the star and the standout from that cast, but he's the one that came back and they're building this franchise around, kind of in reverse.
He was the prototypical Marvel kid, right? He's the same as Chris Evans, or like more specifically, Chris Hemsworth. Think of Chris Hemsworth's career, right? He was kind of a nobody doing these little side projects, doing, Cabin in the Woods, right before filming Thor. And then Thor blows up, and then Marvel blows up, and now he's like a mega star, and he's like this like hunk and this babe, and everyone loves him, right? And he's kind of like the funny, goofy guy who's very talented. He's just like Hugh Jackman was just the prototype of what Chris Hemsworth became, right? And how we kind of build up these leading men. So you're kind of a okay actor, and then you hit it off in a franchise, and it just goes, you just ride it for all it's worth.
And I think it's also shows like a lot of that personality starts to come through in the character.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's like quick little bits. One of my favorite memes is the Thor's story about when Loki tricked him as a kid because he turned himself into a snake. And just that whole scene, he delivers it perfectly. I'm not going to spoil it, But that, just go watch that scene.
Okay.
That scene, I think, was like the moment of like, man, this is something special that we're watching. This is another Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, so like that's kind of where like Jackman is. Good for him. Like he got a paycheck and became a producer and like got more power and like kind of got to own the rights to Wolverine, which is kind of badass, right? And good for him.
Pretty cool for an actor to start steering the way he wants the character to go.
Yeah. So cool. All right. So then, that's it. That kind of ends our review.
Yep.
Anything else to add, or you're just like, nah, I'm equally as frustrated with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing is I think Liev Schreiber did a really good job. I think I remember like really crapping on him as this, and I don't know what it was. Like he must have just rubbed me the wrong way. But going back and watching it, and you're like, I'm really happy that they got an actor of his gravitas to play this role, because I think he adds a lot of like personality and kind of menace. But like he's always smirking because he's like he's enjoying it. This is what he likes to do for fun.
Yeah.
So there was just that part of it. It's like I kind of really enjoy this.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I again, I think it could be a two-dog show. Liev Schreiber, nothing to shake a stick at. Like he's a great actor, right? I haven't watched what's the show he's in? It's like One Word or something like that. And he's like a tough guy. I'm glad he had a career, because I remember him as like the bad guy, or like him being kind of in Scream and then never appearing anywhere. So when he did show up on things, I was like, oh hey, it's the Scream guy. Cool, awesome. I'm glad he's doing other stuff.
It's Ray Donovan.
There you go. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. How about an Are You Buying It? And then we got a Wayback Machine. Tyson's going to tell you about some comics. And I forgot all about that. And then we're doing a cultural significance. Cool. Awesome. Let's see. So, Are You Buying It? Let's track continuities. If Patrick Stewart is our prime Professor X, then this movie must be in the prime timeline. Or should we not try and make sense of any of this mess? I choose the second option.
I also choose the second option.
Again, me and Tyson made a better movie just on this podcast of it should end the way his cameo in like Apocalypse is.
Yeah.
Right? And then you'd have some movies, people be like, holy fucking shit, like there is weird time travel and continuity, and they'd have a multiverse already, and they were doing stuff that like DC and Marvel want to do today, years before this came out, but they didn't. So why are we even worrying about that? Cool.
More or less, unfortunately.
All
it's
right.
it was a money grab. We can't say it enough.
Were you expecting to enjoy this movie more after Last Stand?
I think I was, and that's why I like the first third of the movie. I was kind of invested, and then I got just bored around him in the logging camp scene. I think it just goes on way too long, and I just kind of lose interest.
I know, and there's like other things. I'm like, no. There's just so many stupid things in this movie that don't need to be discussed. I'm like, it's fine. I honestly thought this movie was not going to be as terrible, because my opinion on Last Stand almost did a 180. Like, I would have told you it sucked, it was miserable, watched it, and I was like, yeah, okay, all right, that's like an 80%. Good, phenomenal. I was thinking this movie was going to be like a 60. I don't even know if I'd put this movie at like, it might be a 30-40%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty weak, and it's just like, yeah, it just feels more like a money grab than anything.
It's too bad. The toys are neat, and I was looking, and I was like, oh, I should buy these toys right now. They look fun. No, stop it. Bad. Bad. Let's
don't add bulk to your already big collection of stuff.
Well, I've sold a bunch of stuff. I had a bunch of those like Marvel Universe figures. I sold them for like $600 this last year.
Oh, there you go.
I sold my Galactus too for like $200.
Well, if you ever have a Psylocke, let me buy her off you. I'll throw that in my collection.
I already sold her.
Or Emma Frost, I should say.
I didn't have an Emma Frost. Psylocke I did, but not Emma Frost.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Messed up.
Marvel. Okay, I'll look at that afterwards. Wayback Machine. So we're gonna travel back to May 1st, 2009, when this movie came out. Find out what was life like back then. That seems like a good way to get some of this taste out of our mouth, because maybe life wasn't that bad, or maybe we find out everything was crap and 2009 was just a terrible year.
Could be.
Oh, all right, so we'll start out by asking Tyson, what is your favorite show? Could it be The Simpsons? Oh no, not this. Season 20. Episode 19, Father Knows Worst. Marge loses herself to a sauna and Homer must become the responsible parent. Or Community, Season 1, Episode 1, Pilot. Meet the Study Group. A super serious comedy about a failed lawyer trying to bang a smart, outgoing blonde.
Well, I just restarted Community for, I think, the 19th billionth time because I love Community. It's so good. It's one of those things where it's like it's my popcorn. It's like it kind of has aged in a few aspects, even though it's not that old. But I forget that, like, oh wow, this 2009, yeah, it's pretty old. Mm-hmm. It's not a new thing.
It is not.
Yeah, but I have to go Community. Like, I mean, that TV show holds such an amazing part in my heart. So.
Oh yeah, and like the NBC lineup of Community, The Office, Parks and Rec. Oh boy, they had a early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s. Good for them. So congratulations, Community.
Give me your hands, show me the door. I cannot stand to wait anymore. Somebody said, be what you be. We could be old and cold and dead on the sea.
All right, that's like a different version.
I think that's the actual cover, or that's the actual
song. All right, well,
as opposed to the theme song, which I think they did. Maybe they've recorded a new version for it because I know they actually got them to
okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what it sounds like, and when I'm trying to silently project songs on YouTube to play. Anyways, there you go. So to other top TV shows you could be watching around this time are Modern Family. People say that's a great one too. I've never given it a chance. Maybe Modern Family is something I'd fall into at some point if I'm ever need some downtime. Vampire Diaries, Southland, Castle, Dollhouse, Parks and Rec, Glee, and Jersey Shore.
Oh yeah, I forgot. If there's Community on TV, that means there's still Glee on TV.
How can you be mad at Glee, Tyson? Glee literally means Glee.
That's the best episode of Glee, and it's not even on that show.
Yeah, all right. But then how is the piano still playing this song? All right, so top cartoons. We can see the League of Supervillains, the Superhero Squad, Iron Man, Armored Adventures, Archer, and the Garfield Show.
Nice.
Yeah, all right.
Nice. It's a little plethora, a little bit weak, but I'm sure there's some enjoyment there. It's not Archer Vice yet, I think, so
no.
Archer's still okay.
No. How about top movies? So you're like, you know what? TV just not doing it for me at this time. Unless streaming's still a couple years away. Oh, imagine going back to a time where there was no streaming at this point. And oh gosh, that's... Oh. All right, so...
But you know what? If you went to a DVD section, there would be DVDs there that were worth buying.
Oh, and Blockbuster's still around. Great. So from the things that feed Blockbuster is the silver screen, the Real House. That's what we really want to know. So also released this week was The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. And I said, that's insulting. I don't think Wolverine should ever open up against anything, especially since clearly the movie, I'm like, well, if the boys are seeing Wolverine, girls want to see The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past. Great. Still in theaters could be Earth with Will Smith. Obsessed. I don't know what that is. 17 again. That's okay. That's not bad. Hannah Montana.
That's all right.
Yeah. All right. That's all right.
For some reason, that movie's kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that's one of the I might have seen that half a dozen times. I don't know why that movie speaks to me, but Zac Efron, he's just adorable.
And who is it? And Matthew Perry?
Yeah, he turns into Matthew Perry.
Yeah, and Zac Efron doing a Matthew Perry impersonation is priceless.
He's pretty good. Hannah Montana, the movie, and Fast and Furious, which might be the fourth one.
Yeah,
because then it'd be Fast 5. Okay, all right. So that franchise still isn't really anywhere yet. If you waited a week or two, you could see Star Trek, Angels and...
Okay, the reboot.
Yeah. Angels and Demons.
Okay.
Terminator Salvation.
Which I will argue isn't as bad as everybody likes to pretend it is.
It's fine. It's nothing.
It for a Terminator movie, it's fine.
The problem is the stakes aren't there because everything's already destroyed.
Yes.
Right? Whereas T2 is awesome because it's coming. Judgment Day is coming, right? It's the impending doom. Whereas this one, the doom's already happened. So you're just now in the apocalypse. Less fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a little, yeah, exactly.
All right. Night of the Museum, Battle for the Smithsonian. I I don't know. Ben Stiller, Robert Williams. Might be okay.
Is this the second one or the third one?
Robert Williams? His name's Robin Williams, you ignorant slut.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Huh, all right. You're going to call me a slut? Fuck you. And then finally, Up. You want to cry? Throw one Up. And you'll be crying 5 minutes in, and you're like, stupid. God damn it.
Then you turn it off and be like, I've had enough emotional abuse for this day.
Oh, that's perfect. Then your dog is happy because there's a dog in the rest of the movie, so.
That's true. It's true, as you're still sobbing from what you just witnessed.
Oh, poor man. Poor man. So, honestly, I was like, maybe all movies sucked. But I was like, I don't know, 17 again holds up, right? Like Star Trek, I think the Star Trek movies are pretty, like, top notch, right? Terminator Salvation is fine. Up. So, what were you doing, Fox?
Yeah, and I mean, I know a bunch of people like to dump on Star Trek because of all the lens flares, and I'm like, yeah, it's a visual style. I don't like to hate on if that's distracting and the CGI isn't. I don't know. I can't help you.
Yeah, but I mean, like Chris Pine does an amazing Captain Kirk. You want to talk about like
100%.
Like performances that like outstand, shine something. You're like, oh, it's like Zachary Quintos, not bad spot.
And Carl Urban as as Doc or Bones, whatever his name is. Yeah.
It's a good cast.
Pretty good.
Is Star Trek making a way onto the docket? Yeah, maybe. I might be watching Star Trek tonight. All right, cool. Top video games released around this time were X-Men Origins Wolverine. So we will be coming back to this at some point because we're playing that game.
It's solid and it's really good. Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. We have DK Jungle Beat. So you like drum peripherals? Hopefully you do. The first Plants vs. Zombies Minecraft Wii Punch Out UFC 2009 Undisputed and Infamous. So
okay. So you were a cool guy if you had Plants vs. Zombies on your phone, and you were a very cool kid if you were playing Minecraft, or adult, whatever floats your boat.
I mean, this was like that kind of revolutionizing gameplay, right? Like Minecraft took over the gaming industry for the next 14 years.
Still to this day,
right? Like it's fucking monumental, right? So the fact that's when this game came out, and say what you want about Minecraft's an incredible experience.
And as a technical achievement in gaming, that's putting gameplay first, man. Yeah. That's like, hey, do you want to give people an open world and procedural generated blah blah blah? It's like, well done.
Yeah. And
you can host your own servers, and I think it even started a whole new generation of programmers because kids would try to make like run code in Minecraft and their own personal servers because they want to tweak a certain aspect of it, and like that's fantastic. Like way to not just be an amazing game, but an amazing educational tool and just way of socializing with people. And I've heard all sorts of like amazing warm stories from Minecraft, so I got nothing but good things to say about it. I just haven't really experienced it.
I've played it a little bit, but yeah, I kind of like I get to a point where I was like, I don't have that much free time. I'm not that creative. I don't care. That's kind of where I'm at. So not terrible. Okay, movies, decent video games. You get like the rise of Community, like Modern Family. Like some good stuff's going on, guys. Good stuff around this time. Top songs. So the top 3 Billboard charts from May 1st, 2009, and then we'll get out of here. That's good. Well, not get out of here, but leave this section anyways. So the number 3 song was Right Round by Florida.
Right when every song he released was just going to number 1 or for whatever reason.
Yeah, he did have some ones. Good for him. I was like, how come you don't hear of him anymore? He doesn't have to work. Like he got it, Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. Huh.
He got his money and left.
Built some cool sound studio, and like you want to go to the Florida sound studio and like record your album. That's all they have to do now. So
yeah. Well, and I'm sure he does still tour every once in a while. I swear I could have went to one of his concerts that was like in a tiny little town outside of where we were all going to university, and I was like, why is he playing there and not here? It's like, no idea. Yeah. But you can go see him.
Weird. Just like the number 2 song was Poker Face by Lady Gaga.
Get him hot, show him what I got. Oh, I'll get him hot, show him what I got. Get
Cartman.
You played the South Park one. That's delightful.
You just tuned out completely?
No, I just didn't hear it. Didn't pick up through your mic.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. All right. And then finally, the number one song was Boom Boom Pow by the Black Eyed Peas. Oh, shit.
Oh, wow. What a burn. That one.
I still say that all the time. Like, I'm like maybe once a week I say, you're 2008. Or I'm so 2008, you're so 2000 and late. People are like, what? It's 2023.
Like, what are you talking about?
How old are you?
You're like, no. But man, well, I am number one on the charts and has
a hit
the
movie?
number one movie.
So not only that, but so
air quotes.
This would stay on the chart from so Boom Boom Pow by Black Eyed Peas was number one on the charts from April 8th to July 4th. It gets taken over by I Got a Feeling by Black Eyed Peas, which stays on the charts till October 17th. So between April 18th and October 17th, the number one song is the Black Eyed Peas.
Wow, that album must have been just massive.
And I think, what's the other one? Let's Get It Started? I think that song is like even bigger. Like that dominates like a whole year at some point. Or sorry, Let's Get Retarded. That's the correct way of saying what that song's called.
Mm-hmm. I thought the guy from Hot Tub Time Machine wrote that one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, huh. That's a good movie, too. Hot Tub Time Machine, underrated. If you don't watch it all once in a while, you're doing yourself a disservice because it's hilarious.
I actually was trying to track down Dodgeball the other day, and I'm like, I really need to watch Dodgeball.
Yeah, I'm feeling like that. Anchorman, I think Anchorman would be a good one to go back to at this point because it's been a hot second. So, yeah, good.
You know what? Like summer's coming because all these goofy comedies that used to come out in summer, it's like, I'm getting a craving for them.
That's it. We got 2 feet of snow still, but summer's coming. Let's go Canada.
It's right there. I can see it.
All right, so that's it. So, Will.i.am, he was having a really nice time. Or William, as I referred to him as my notes. So,
yes,
great.
Yes. Well, the punctuation, I never know where the periods are.
Yeah, there you go. So that makes sense. Was it a time we want to go back to? No,
I don't think we have a lot to look forward to, unfortunately.
Like I might go back to like 2006 and just make Minecraft, right?
Oh man, that might be the smartest idea.
Or like go find the guy who's making it and be like, here, man, here's like $1,000. And he's like, thanks, buddy. And it's like, partners? And he's like, partners. And you're just like, sucker.
And then take that money and then just like when Bitcoin's like 2 cents, just be like, I'm going to buy all this. And then when it goes to like, I don't even care, like even $10,000, just sell it all and just be like, I'm going to retire and buy an island.
You become a speculator. My grandfather always told me the thing that ruined the world was speculators. I don't know what that means, but I think you would be the thing that he was saying ruined the world. So good job.
Well, you know what? I would try.
All right, great, cool. So with that wraps up our review of the movie. You know, it sucked. You looked at the year 2009, specifically in May. It was a thing. And finally, we're going to end with a cultural significance. So we're ranking all the X-Men. But holy balls! There's an actual cultural impact section on Wikipedia for this movie. I've never seen cultural impact ever before. I was like, oh! Did I steal this for our podcast this whole time? I had to go back and like look and make sure it wasn't just always on the Wikipedia page. I swear, people, I created something original for this podcast. No, it was just this one. There are two cases exist of adolescents injecting themselves with the elemental mercury after seeing X-Men Origins Wolverine, and incorrectly believing this would convert their bones to metal, similar to how Wolverine made his adamantium. So that's a thing.
Where the frick did these kids get bloody mercury?
A thermometer.
And so they
broke
a bunch of a broken thermometer. Went and got like some needles. Yeah. From where does a kid get random needles? Okay, so
maybe their
let's
sister
say
has diabetes.
So they take a diabetic needle from the trash, break some.
Well, you got a clean one. Like I'm sure they have like clean ones in the house.
You know what? I'm sure, but I don't know how diabetes works. Like if it comes in little vials and you have to fill it up and then do the thing, or if it comes prepackaged. I have no idea.
Depends. Maybe they're a poor family and they have to reuse needles. I don't know.
Like, but holy moly, that is never a thing that would ever cross my mind. I can't believe people actually did that, but I'm not surprised. Because if you ever seen Mercury, it looks much like adamantium it does in this.
Yeah.
Very shiny liquid.
Well, the problem is it probably wasn't hot enough, so the fusing couldn't happen, right? So that was probably their issues. They didn't boil it first.
And you have to be underwater while it happens.
Yeah, so underwater, like jump in your pool with your really hot adamantium and your needles, and then you'll be fine, kids. Heard it here first.
That's when you do it.
Yeah.
But don't forget to put on your... it's much more better if you have a hyperbolic chamber like Goku has. So build the hyperbolic chamber first.
Okay, all right.
And then...
did we not talk about... It's funny that like we get to ends of podcasts of like movies, and I'm like, we didn't really talk about this movie. Like, we didn't talk about the relationship with Silver Fox. We didn't talk about his bone claws.
Well, we mentioned them in like notable stuff. And honestly... What's her point in the movie besides
did
to
I say
be
bone
love
claws?
interest?
Oh yeah, bone claws. Okay, we're good. Yeah. Right, cool.
Yeah, and I mentioned Silver Fox a couple times, but it's just like she's in it to fake die, to come back and be like, but it was to mess with your head.
Yeah.
But I swear, I wasn't doing it the whole time we were together.
I call bullshit.
I had to do it while I was touching you, and you're like, you're always touching him. In fact, you touched him constantly if you've rewatched the movie.
Yep.
So.
Yep. All right. So there you go. So with that, what we're actually doing. So for this movie, we're doing a running tally. We're going to rank 5 X-Men or villains on a 5-point scale and see which character does best through the cinematic run. It's called something like 5 points or Omega level. I don't know, something like that ties it in. We're not really sure. So we're tasked at ranking the characters based on how they acted, their powers are used, unique ways their powers are shown, or hysterical moments that make them stand out. So I've got my 5. We actually have a running tally after Last Stand. So for those at home, if you'd like the summary, thus far, where's my tally? I swear I had it. I've had it on my desk.
Well, it's all good. We can give a running tally next time because we still have a few of these movies to go. But I got my list.
But Tyson, where did I put it? I swear I had it on a sticky note. Oh, here it is. Yeah, found it. It was under a calculator. All good, people. I have like my little like tally sheet of where I added everything up, but I'm like, but not us. All right. So current leaders. Let's go from the bottom up. So right now, all sitting at 1 point through all 3 movies, we have Mystique, Cyclops, and Storm. Okay, all right.
Yep.
At the second from the bottom, we have Shadowcat, who has 2 points. All right. Pyro has 3 points. Mm-hmm. Above him, we have a tie between Iceman and Rogue with 4 points.
Yep.
All right, so those are all kind of the losers. And now we jump into the higher grade. So this will be the top 5. We were going to give you an actual top 5. With 9 points each, we have Nightcrawler and Beast.
Nice.
All right. That's not bad. And that's a combination of both our scores through those movies. So through one movie, they both have 9 points. That's not bad. Jean Grey has 12 points, but she was in every single movie, so on average, she only has 4 points. Whereas Nightcrawler and Beast, their average is 9 points. Good job, them.
Yeah, they absolutely crush it.
Oh my gosh. We need to knock them down in the next couple films they're in. Professor X is in third with 11 points, which gives him an average of 3.7, which is below Jean. And similar to... Oh no, he's just below Jean. Okay. 2, we have Wolverine with 13 points. That gives him 4.3 points on average. And then finally, Magneto is the leader. He has 19 points and a 6.3 point average. So, not bad.
Yeah, fair enough. It's, it's villains tend to dominate the lists.
Yeah.
So.
All right, cool. So with that, we'll see how these guys do today. And if you don't make the list, and you're in a movie, I guess that's bad. It really brings your average down. So you gotta show up every single one of these games. We're pretty harsher on other critics. So at number 5, who is your number 5 points? It's reverse order. So if you're number 5, you get 1 point. If you're number 1, you get 5 points. Who's your number 5 mutant today?
It kind of kills me to do this one because there are some characters that I like as characters but don't necessarily get good points. But my number 5 is Silver Fox. She, I guess, has a part to play, and her power is kind of unique. And I think that without her, Wolverine doesn't turn to X-23 or turn into his Weapon X. because it's
Yeah.
like her death that triggers this whole thing.
I see what you're
So,
saying. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Nice. For myself, I have Cyclops. I had to pick someone, and it was like, do I like Will.i.am or Blob or Sean Monahan or no, Matthew Monahan, the guy from Lord of the Rings. What's his name? Dominic Monaghan. Do I like Dominic Monaghan's light guy? And I was like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
Charlie.
Cyclops is cool. He has like, I don't know why he's in this film, but like, sure, Cyclops. He blows up a school, and he has like red glasses on already. Did he know he was Cyclops? Like,
Yeah. Not sure. And he almost immediately recognizes Liev Schreiber just standing outside and be like, "Uh-oh, I gotta run."
yeah,
So-
that's how that works. So there you go. So good job, Cyclops. You get 1 point. That gives you 2 points. You get more than
Yeah,
Storm.
well, you know what? It's good that he got a point. He's keeping himself in the game by getting these points every now and then. It's gonna add up for him, especially considering he's in quite a few movies.
Yeah. All right.
So he's got to keep that average up.
All right. So speaking of averages, who's number 4? For 2 points, who's your 4th ranked mutant?
You know, I was kind of I have in my notes here. I have Blob.
Okay.
But I think I'm gonna pull an audible, and I'm gonna drop him because I was thinking I'm like he has 2 scenes.
Yeah.
One that's one big long fat joke, and one that he has to punch a tank, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But is that one punch worth
2 points.
being 4th on my list?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say no, just because I like your number 4 more.
Okay. All right. Wow. There you go. So my number 4 is Emma Frost. She makes a weird cameo. She turns to Crystal. She is Silver Fox's sister, which is why she was compelled to work with Stryker and turn against the man that she loved, Wolverine.
Yeah, and she kind of like is the she doesn't really do much,
No.
but I like Emma Frost as a character, so I want to give her some points.
Well, yeah, and like she is kind of like goofy. She's like a thin blonde woman with like ears that stick out too far, and Emma Frost is supposed to be this like outworld, like this overclassed beauty as part.
Well, she's also like she's a telepath,
Yeah.
So she projects how she wants to be seen. So she
Always
is
looks
seen as
glamorous,
always
yeah.
looks like the most beautiful, glamorous woman in the world.
So when she's like a dorky kid with like ears that stick out, I'm like, maybe you could have found a
Yeah.
better kid. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
All right.
But you know what, Emma,
Hey.
you got an extra 2.
You got 4 points. That ties you with Iceman. Good job. You have as many points as Rogue. She was the main character in one of these movies.
Yes. Well, she also doesn't do much in those movies.
That's it. All right. And number 3. Who do you have at number 3?
I got Deadpool.
All right.
This was the what if, and we were like, I wish we got more. I really wish we just got more of this, giving us a whole movie of this. So when the ending happens and he's like got his mouth zipped up and they've kind of just bastardized the character into whatever the heck he's supposed to be, or Weapon 11 or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's awful. But the Ryan Reynolds, because that's a different actor entirely. So the Ryan Reynolds part, awesome. And it was so awesome that we got a whole 2 other movies, potentially a 3rd one coming soon.
I think it's confirmed that we're getting a 3rd one, right? So yeah, for myself, he's like kind of funny at the beginning, and he has some swords, but then I just don't understand like what he's doing, and yeah, he looks gross. Like he looks like he's all surgery. Sure, great. Give me the red suit. Let him talk. Let him freeze time and talk to me. You know, like give me an actual Deadpool movie. So for myself, I went with Silver Fox. She's kind of hot and gives like some type of emotional tie to Wolverine in this movie. She went on to star in John Carter with Taylor Kitsch.
Yep. Yeah, she's a beautiful lady. I forget the actress. What's her name?
Yeah, I didn't stand out to me. Like it was one of those I looked up. I was like, oh, that's what she did. Like she tells this really stupid story about the moon and the wolf or something, and she names Wolverine. So you guess you get 3 points, Silver Fox. You have more points than you have as many points as Pyro. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I did not realize she must just be in a flashback. She comes back for the other movie.
Really?
Yeah, it must be a flashback.
Oh,
It must just be a flashback.
Huh. Well, that's going to bring her average down. That's a shame. How about who do you have at number 2?
My number 2, the man himself, I got Wolverine. I don't think this is his best role.
No.
And I think that he does do some funny things in it, but I just don't think that he does enough to really nail everything. It's not keeping me super interested. I kind of am getting bored. And Wolverine's one of my favorite characters. So I'm like, there's something there that I'm not quite jiving.
Okay.
So I'm like, I can only put him at number 2.
Okay.
Who do you got number 2?
I went with Sabretooth, Liev Schreiber's portrayal, at least, of him. I enjoy his character arc in this movie. He's actually motivated. My problem is he disappears for parts of it, right? And then he finds out he was just a pawn, but it was kind of obvious he was just a pawn, right? It's one of those things where, like, because the script's so dirty, his character, but like his portrayal of Sabretooth kind of makes me think Sabretooth's a cool character. In my mind, Sabretooth's the big, stupid wrestler guy from the first movie or the comics, or like anytime he shows up in the cartoon, I'm like, not a Sabretooth episode. I hate Sabretooth. But I'm jiving with what he's like throwing down, right? And like him going around and like killing everybody, and like when he catches Will.i.am when he's teleporting, he's like, "You're too predictable," and just crushes his like spine. You're like, "Holy fuck, that's intimidating as fuck," right? So he gets my number 2 spot, but you haven't mentioned him. So does that make him your number 1 character?
Well, my number 1 is actually Psylocke. She's in the background of a scene and walks past.
That was pretty monumental.
So therefore, she's my number 1. No, it's got to be Sabretooth. Okay. Yeah, super cool. I think that I didn't like him the first time I watched that. And I remember that vividly, that I was like, oh, Liev Schreiber's in this. It's going to be terrible. And I remember even just like up until literally hit and play on the rewatch. And then I was watching it and I was like, he's doing a really good job. Like he's doing like this kind of psychopath who enjoys this and is like almost enjoys kind of torturing Wolverine. I'm like, but that's kind of what a psychopath older brother would do.
Yeah.
He would kind of be like, take enjoyment in torturing you and torturing his little brother, but still that's his little brother. So when they both kind of go back to back and start teaming up, it's really cool.
Are you saying that you're right? It is actually a cool climax of a movie, right? You're like, oh, they learn to work together and they're unstoppable and like the power of brotherhood.
Yeah, and it's like these two started the movie in battle together and they're ending the movie in battle together. So it kind of has like some harmony. And I think without Liev Schreiber literally really like doing a lot of the carrying the scenes, like because he does come off as menacing, and I think the reason I didn't like him as a kid is because I saw this as a kid and I was like, don't beat up on Wolverine should always win. And you're like, no, that's terrible. You're bad ideas.
Why doesn't
you need to have conflict?
Why doesn't Sabretooth have the suit from the comics? I want to just watch the comics.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, but I like that he's like just kind of this evil psychopath who almost takes pleasure in it. So like the scene where he sees Silver Fox and he starts like digging his claws into it. He has like this really menacing, like just creepy smile as he's walking towards her and he's just destroying her car so she can't go anywhere. And it's like that tension in the scene is there because everyone is kind of afraid of him. Mm-hmm. And like the whole him talking to Charlie, it's like, oh, I always thought it'd be Wade coming for me. It's like, oh, Wade's no longer around.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool.
Then that's your number 1. So for myself, I gave Wolverine. It's his movie. He can have the point. He's really buff. Do you see his butt in this movie? Is that a thing?
Is that a thing?
Wolverine origin butt. What if I put that? You think his butt pops up? No, maybe I just. Oh, you do see his bum. Look at that. Huh? Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So that ass. That is Canada's ass right there. Captain America might be America's ass. Wolverine is our ass. So.
He's ours.
Yeah.
We get claimed on that.
We get that. So that's why he gets 5 points. It's his movie. He deserves something, right? So, cool. So with that wraps up another X-Men movie. I was actually thinking, I was like, where are we headed in this film series? Because I don't think I have the timeline down 100%. It looks like from here we get to First Class. So in a month we'll come back for X-Men First Class, followed by The Wolverine. So look at that. Cool. Neat.
Yep. Yep, I think those are the next two, and then we hop to Deadpool if we want to do that one, or if we want to
Days
do
of Future
that one
Past
afterwards.
in 2014.
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
And then Deadpool followed by Apocalypse.
Well, now I need to go back and rewatch Apocalypse because I got to find that Weapon X scene.
Yeah, they're in the facility, and like he runs like, okay, you're gonna watch it and be like, oh wow.
Well, son of a son. Maybe that's why I didn't hate this movie. There's two things about Apocalypse that I really like. And I already know who my number one in Apocalypse is.
Or is it Days of Future Past?
Yeah. Well, I'll have to check.
It's one of those two. I think in one of those two you see that scene and you're gonna be like, oh my god.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So with that, we'll see you guys next month for an actual game. In a month's time, we'll be back talking about X-Men First Class. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. One quick side note about comics.
Oh my god, I forgot about comics. I'm sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I completely kind of forgot too until the last minute. And it's like, so this one, I had a couple options. There was a rogue-centered one because it seems like they're not doing like a full. It's not just called X-Men.
Okay.
Right now, it's currently called Uncanny X-Men Volume 1, number 510, because apparently we're still going in the. But from the original run, still the first volume. Released May 20th, 2009. Seems like it is a ladies-centered one. This one's Sisterhood Part 3. I don't really want to go through it because it's a lot of reading, and I don't want to read out loud. But it's essentially just Sisterhood of Mutants versus the ladies of X-Men, because it seems like maybe the only guys in this one are there's Colossus and Nightcrawler and Wolverine and Cyclops, but everybody else seems to be ladies. So
cool,
very cool.
All right, sweet. Cartoons. There was nothing at the time. I don't think we get an X-Men cartoon till what's it called? Wolverine and the X-Men. And the X-Men. When did that start? 2009. Oh, so Wolverine and the X-Men would have started this year. So, there you go. So if you're disappointed by this performance in Wolverine, go check this out. If you want kind of a fun comic that kind of runs through the major storylines and hits on all the things you know and love, this is a pretty fun series. Wow, I really dropped the ball on this whole thing. Shoot.
And the I think this was probably one of the last X-Men animated series for a very long time. If not maybe the last.
I don't know if
one
there's
that
one
we
after
got.
this. Yeah, so.
No, I think we get the garbage anime ones, but that's about it.
Crazy. There you go. So previously on X-Men, that segment that I definitely was going to do on all the shows, and I forgot. Had stuff.
It's okay. Add it to the notes next time.
Yeah, next time we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk about X-Men, Wolverine, something. Cool. Awesome. With that, did we miss anything?
Nah, I think we're good.
All right.
Wait, you got to say James Bond at some point, I think.
Solid. Yep. Solid. Another X-Men done. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, well, hopefully you guys are enjoying it so far. I think this is kind of a low part, and it's only going to tick up from here.
Nice. Great. Cool.
Yep.
Okay. Well, with that, we will see you guys next week for a fun game that we're playing, and